and totally betraying the least principles of a civil society is that it is not appealable.
They call Dr. Naik a warmonger. Well, history knows who is the warmonger.
It is they plan to ban me, and I have faith in my Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will see to it that the more they try to suppress my voice, inshallah, more louder it will be.
And yet if you insist that no, our orders are divine orders, they cannot be looked into by any other human being or any other organization or authority, I'm afraid this is terrorism, an act of terrorism.
Are we going to become victims of these people who decide at the drop of the hat whom they're going to call terrorists and whom they're not going to call terrorists?
May peace be on all of you. On behalf of the Islamic Research Foundation, I, Dr. Muhammad Naik, who have this task of coordinating between the press and the speakers on the dais, welcome all of you wholeheartedly, as well as I welcome two prominent and very famous human rights activists of India, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt and Advocate Majid Memon. One very prominent in dealing with humanitarian aspect of such issues, another very prominently known as dealing on the legal issues on such cases. First and foremost, let me clarify. We have got together here today specifically to get a clear picture on the serious allegations put forward by the United Kingdom government, specifically its Home Department, on Dr. Zakir Naik, and putting a ban or an exclusion order on him. And this is our opportunity to have Dr. Zakir Naik's clarification and relevant response to this exclusion order. As I'm told that we have limited time available with us today, it would be fit that we don't convert this into a question and answer session on other general matters in which Dr. Zakir and our other speakers might be well versed with. Let us restrict ourselves to issues of terrorism and violence specifically, and if time permits, we'll allow you an open session after that. The British Home Office issued this order on 16 June 2010, just 1 or 2 days before Dr. Zakir was to arrive in the United Kingdom. Just 1 or 2 days before Dr. Zakir was to arrive in the United Kingdom. And that too for a series of peace talks in some of the leading venues and cities of United Kingdom. Dr. Zakir has been regularly visiting the United Kingdom for the last 15 years for public talks and never has been misunderstood or mistreated ever in such a manner by the UK government. All his talks have been peaceful and there has never been an incident of violence ever in any of these talks. To give you an exact idea of what is the order and a response to it, we will have Dr. Zakir Naik. Before that, may I quickly read out at fast pace, because I think our volunteers here have already distributed the press release for your ready reference. Dr. Zakir Naik's banned by UK government. Dr. Zakir Naik filed legal case in British High Court to approach Ministry of External Affairs for support. This is the main theme of today's discussion. Mumbai, June 2, 2010. Dr. Zakir Naik, eminent Islamic scholar and international personality, has initiated legal proceedings against the UK government's exclusion order, banning him from entering Britain. Dr. Naik is also approaching the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. S.M. Krishna, for the ministry's support in revoking the order. Notably, the exclusion order by the British Home Office, UK Border Agency, was issued just 2 days before Dr. Zakir Naik's visit to UK on last Friday, June 18. It was to be a peace-speaking tour between June 25 to 27 to audiences at 3 places: the Sheffield Arena, London's Wembley Arena, and the LG Arena in Birmingham, NEC. Post the exclusion order by the British Home Office, Dr. Naik's 5 years UK visa issued in 2008 and valid till 2013 was cancelled and notice issued banning him from entering the UK. Dr. Naik has initiated legal recourse in the High Court of London with a view to appeal against the exclusion order, terming the reasons of ban as untrue and misrepresentation of the truth. He is also approaching the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, the Prime Minister's office, and the British Embassy for revoking the ban. Says Dr. Naik, I have spoken out on numerous occasions against all and any facts of terrorism and have unequivocally condemned acts of violence, including 9/11, 7/7, and 7/11 serial train bombings in Mumbai incidents. I have said on several occasions that these are cowardly acts and completely unjustifiable by any standards. But I believe that the UK government has acted on recent press reports in the UK, which has portrayed me as a preacher of hate and a terror backer. That is not just a warped view, but totally unjustified impression of my work. It appears these sensational headlines have been based on some of my quotes that have been either used out of relevant context or are completely wrong. It is clear from many of my talks that in Islam, terrorism and killing of innocents. What is more surprising is that the UK government, which has so many resources to its disposal, has acted on falsehoods of the media and without cross-checking the facts. Even a basic investigation into my speeches would have revealed the truth that I stand for peace and harmony and am strictly against terrorism of any kind, added Dr. Naik. Apparently, the ban is the latest in the series of UK government's naming and shaming policy, introduced a couple of years ago, a law that some sections of the UK media have termed as impediment to free speech. The fact remains that Dr. Zakir Naik has visited the UK on several occasions in the past 15 years and his speaking tours have passed by without any incidents. The law is also being seen as an intrusion on the freedom of speech. This law called the government's naming and shaming policy law. The UK has sufficient number of laws to deal with incidents of hatred and violence, but the introduction of a law that preemptively bans people from entering the UK is being seen as yet another government PR gimmick to show that it is getting tough on extremism. Mumbai-based Dr. Naik has in recent years built up a huge international following of over 100 million plus viewers on Peace TV as well as on other satellite TV channels. Dr. Zakir Naik is revered for his enlightening and convincing talks on promoting similarities between major religions across the world. He uses peace as a common platform to converge values and commonalities between religious scriptures, including the Bible, Vedas, Torah, and Quran. He was listed among the 100 most powerful Indians in 2009 and 2010 in a research survey by a popular Indian media house. Dr. Zakir Naik has been peacefully visiting and delivering talks in the United Kingdom for the past 15 years. For further information on these technicalities, you can contact the Islamic Research Foundation and Mr. Maqbool Barvelkar for any further details. Without coming any further in between you and the speakers on stage, I leave the floor open to Dr. Zakir Naik to make his comments. You are welcome, as soon as the comment is over, to put forward your questions. Dr. Zakir Naik.
Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa qul ja'al haqq wa zaqal batil. Innal batila kana zahuqa. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The Honorable Human Rights Activist, Advocate Majid Memon, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, the press, the media, the respected elders, and my brothers and sisters. I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of Almighty God, be on all of you. As you may be aware, that I was supposed to go for a series of lectures to UK, which is supposed to be held in the three most prestigious arenas on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of June in London and LG Arena, NEC Birmingham. Since there was a lot of publicity being done in UK, just a couple of weeks or a month before the event took place, on the 30th of May, there was a newspaper in UK by the name of Sunday Times, which published an article saying the preacher of hate let into Britain, talking about me. And in that article, they gave several references of my speeches, which were misquotes, or they were quoted out of context. And they projected me as a person, saying that I'm a person who says that every Muslim should be a terrorist, and other allegations, which in our press release on the 11th of June, we did clarify that all these allegations, these assumptions, they're quoted out of context, or they're misquotes. This led to a pressure on the newly elected government in UK, that is the Conservative Party. When it was earlier in the opposition was very vehemently against, we should not allow speakers who speak wrong things. So there was a pressure on this government that they should exclude me from coming to UK. And we made a presentation to the Home Office clarifying and giving the context and saying in no way do I promote terrorism in any way, and I have condemned all acts of terrorism and killing of any innocent human being in the world, irrespective whether it be 9/11 in New York, whether it be 7/7 in London, 7/11 in Bombay. But yet instead of all this presentation, I think this decision to exclude me, according to me, was more of a political decision rather than a legal decision. Because they were newly elected, hardly 1.5 months in power. And because of political pressure from the various groups, the government decided to take the chance, knowing very well that we will be challenging this exclusion order. Yet they preferred taking a political decision for political mileage, that's what I believe. And they gave an exclusion order on 16th of June, because I was supposed to leave on 18th early morning, or rather 17th late night to UK, knowing that they gave an exclusion order on 16th, which was given to me by hand delivery on the 17th of June, just one day before my travel. We received a phone call from the Deputy High Commission in Bombay of UK, saying that there's a letter, there's an exclusion order given to you, please come and collect the letter. And I sent my manager, and he collected the letter. And the reasons they gave in that exclusion order, they said there are certain passages of my speeches which they feel are not conducive. They aren't good for the public in UK. And they quoted 4 of the passages in their letter for the reasons they gave to exclude me. And those 4 passages which the Home Ministry, the Home Office, has given to us in writing is also given to the press, so that you yourself can be the judge whether what they say or is an exclusion order required on these 4 passages. I'll just clarify all these 4 passages, and then we'll have the comments from honorable people on the dais, and then the press is free. As we may be having those passages, the first passage which they objected on was, and I'm quoting, it is from their exact letter which I received. As far as terrorist is concerned, I tell the Muslims that every Muslim should be a terrorist. This they're quoting me. ... What is the meaning of the word terrorist? Terrorist by definition means a person who terrorizes. When a robber sees a policeman, he is terrified. So for a robber, a policeman is a terrorist. So in this context, every Muslim should be a terrorist to the robber. Every Muslim should be a terrorist to each and every antisocial element. I'm aware that terrorist more commonly is used for a person who terrorizes an innocent person. In this context, no Muslim should ever terrorize a single innocent human being. The Muslim should selectively terrorize the antisocial elements. Many times, 2 different labels are given to the same activity of the same individual, ... Before any person gives any label to any individual for any of his actions, we have to first analyze for what reason is he doing that. Source, video Google. Though in the press in UK, only one part of my sentence was flashed in the media, Dr. Zakir Naik says that every Muslim should be a terrorist. And because of that, all these issues started. And when we presented the case to the Home Office, the people who were the organizers, and they said it's out of context. So one thing good, for me at least, that when the UK Home Office has excluded me, they gave the full passage in context. Now, any logical person who reads this does not require any clarification for what I've said. An article that came in Times of India on the 20th of August 2003 saying that Inspector Angre amongst the 5 police officers, who has killed more than 300 criminals, his name itself evokes terror in the underworld. So in this context I said that terrorist means a person who causes terror. So when a robber sees a policeman or a criminal sees a policeman, he's terrified. So for the robber or the criminal, the policeman is the terrorist. In this context, every Muslim, whenever a robber or a criminal or an antisocial element looks at a Muslim, he should be terrified. But I went on to clarify that I'm aware that terrorist more commonly is used for a person who terrorizes an innocent person. In this context, no Muslim should ever terrorize a single innocent human being. So the main crux of this full paragraph is that no Muslim should ever terrorize a single innocent human being. But they quote me out of context. So according to me, the Home Office, after knowing the context, has given the exclusion order because I said that no Muslim should ever terrorize a single innocent human being. This is the crux. So if you quote the crux without the context, the main gist without the context, it's acceptable. But if you quote the sentence out of context and project a wrong meaning of what I want to convey, I feel it is not correct. So this was as far as the clarification. There is a video clipping, and this paragraph I have said in umpteen numbers of my lectures.
Every Muslim should be a terrorist to the robber. Whenever a robber sees a Muslim, he should be terrified. Whenever a rapist sees a Muslim, he should be terrified. Every Muslim should be a terrorist to each and every antisocial element. I'm aware that terrorist more commonly is used for a person who terrorizes an innocent person. In this context, no Muslim should even terrorize a single innocent human being.
So that was the clip from where they took the first reason, the first passage of my speech, why they've excluded me. As far as the second passage is concerned, I'm again reading from their letter. Inward commas, they've quoted me. Beware of Muslims saying Osama bin Laden is right or wrong. I reject them. ... We don't know. But if you ask my view, if given the truth, if he's fighting the enemies of Islam, I'm for him. I don't know what he's doing. I'm not in touch with him. I don't know him personally. I read the newspaper. I say that he's neither a saint, neither he's a terrorist. There's not a single statement of mine after 9/11 that has ever praised Osama bin Laden or supported any of his activities. With regards to the extract, what the Home Office has quoted, it is taken from a video on YouTube, and though it mentions their source, year 2006, I went on to the YouTube, and when I saw it, I realized it was a lecture of mine given in Singapore in 1998. It was 8 years before 2006, 3 years before the 9/11 attack. So now to attribute this statement of mine to 9/11 by the Home Office is unreasonable. And we made a presentation to the Home Office saying that this is a clip from the YouTube. It's absolutely manipulated. First of all, it's not of 2006. It is 1998. And if anyone sees, they can realize I'm much younger. Now also I'm young, but that time I was younger. And the venue was Singapore, you can make out from the audience. And if you check the records, I've never been to Singapore in 2006. It was a lecture given in 1998. And it was a clipping of some local organization put on the YouTube. We don't have the rushes. I don't know what has been changed, what has not been changed. Whether I said it or not, I don't know. But to claim it is said in 2006 and to attribute that I'm supporting is totally wrong. Because there are many of my lectures and question and answer sessions which have unequivocally condemned the acts of 9/11, 7/7, 7/11, and killing of all innocent human beings anywhere in the world. We'll go to the third reason or third passage why they have excluded me. I'm quoting, they said, that I said, how can you ever justify killing innocent people? But in the same breath, as condemning those responsible, we must also condemn those responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people in Iraq, Afghanistan and Lebanon. Brackets, as reported by the Manchester Evening News, 21st August 2006, as part of a speech you gave, that is I gave, at the Expo Islamia conference in Manchester. Now, I want to know what is wrong in this passage, whether it's quoted out of context or not. That will come to it later. What is wrong in me saying that how can you ever justify wrong in this passage, whether it's quoted out of context or not? That will come to it later. What is wrong in me saying that how can you ever justify killing innocent people? But in the same breath, as condemning those responsible, we must also condemn those responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people in Iraq, Afghanistan and Lebanon. Do you mean to say that I cannot condemn those people who have killed the innocent people? It is not any people. My words are thousands of innocent people killed in Iraq, Afghanistan and Lebanon. Yet I went on the net and wanted to see what this article said. And when I went on the net, I was shocked that there was in the same newspaper, that is Manchester Evening News, of 21st August 2006, before this paragraph that they quoted, there was another paragraph on top. And I read what it mentions. That same paragraph which they quoted, above that paragraph it said that, however, Dr. Zakir Naik, described by organizers as, inverted commas, the most sought after Muslim public speaker in the world, unquote, criticized the actions of the New York, London and Bombay bombers. And then I said, how can you justify killing innocent people? But in the same breath, as condemning those responsible, we must also condemn those responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people in Iraq, Afghanistan and Lebanon. So when I'm condemning the 9/11, thousands of people killed in 9/11, more than 50 people killed in 7/7 in London, and about 200 people killed in Bombay on 7/11, in the same breath, I'm also condemning thousands of innocent people killed in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Lebanon. Does it mean that if people are killed in America and UK, people should condemn those killers? Does it mean that the life of a UK citizen and an American citizen is more important than the life of an Afghani or an Iraqi or a Lebanese? So is this human rights? So why are they objecting on me condemning those people who have killed thousands of innocent people in Iraq, Afghanistan and Lebanon? So I leave it to the judgment of the press. We go to the fourth paragraph, the fourth passage which they objected amongst the hundreds of talks I've given throughout the world. The inverted commas, they are saying that I said, strongest in enmity towards the Muslims are the Jews and the pagans. It, into bracket the Quran, does not say that the Muslims should fight with the Jews. The Jews by nature as a whole will be against Muslims. There are many Jews who are good to Muslims, but as a whole, the Quran tells us, as a whole, they will be our staunchest enemy. Peace TV recorded on YouTube. And this is a passage that has been taken from one of the conferences we had in Bombay. That's in November 2007, the peace conference, which took place in Mumbai. And there was a French tourist who asked this question, and in reply to this question, I gave this answer. And if you hear the full clip, they are trying to say this was in reference to the verse of the Quran I quoted of Surah Maida, chapter number 5, verse number 82, which says, the strongest among men in enmity to the believers will thou find the Jews and the pagans, and nearest among them in love to the believers will thou find those who say we are Christians. So while I was quoting the verse of the Quran, I made this statement, and I went on further to clarify that this does not indicate that the Quran says that Muslims should fight the Jews. This is my explanation. The Jews by nature as a whole will be against Muslims, but there are many Jews who are good to Muslims. But as a whole, the Quran tells us that they will be the staunchest enemy to the believers. So this was the explanation of the verse of the Quran, and which is self-explanatory. And we'll show you the clip of the complete answer that I gave in the conference that's in November 2007.
Can we have the clip?
I am traveling 8 months in India. I am 18 years old. I completed my 12 in June. And so, inshallah, if you agree, I will meet you in private. But now I just would like to ask you about the Jews. Maybe, if I am not wrong, you said that it is written in the Quran that Jews and pagans are the strong enemies of believers, Muslim believers, And I would like to know how this verse can favorize peace in humankind when we see the troubles between Palestine and Israel, how some Muslims and some Jews cannot misunderstand this verse, because maybe it can provoke some misinterpretation.
That's a very good question. That he said, I said in my speech, and according to the verse of the Quran of Surah Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 82, which says that strong to the Muslims would be the Jews and the pagans, and the closest in love would be the Christians. So if they wanted to create enmity when they say that the Jews and the Muslims should fight, the Quran doesn't say Jews and the Muslims should fight. The Quran says strongest in enmity to the Muslims, to the believers, will be Jews. It does not say that Muslims should fight with the Jews. It doesn't say that. But it says that the Jews, by nature as a whole, they'll be against Muslims. And I told in my lecture, there are many Jews who accepted Islam. There are many Jews who are good to Muslims. But as a whole, if you take Jews as a whole and the Christians as a whole, the Christians are closer than the Jews as a whole. This is a fact. For example, the Quran says that the Jews are intelligent also. So that's a fact. If they're intelligent, they're intelligent. That doesn't mean that it hides the fact. And the Quran also says that they will be as a whole a staunchest enemy. So this is one of the falsification tests. That today, if you want to prove the Quran wrong, if the Jews get together, all of them, and they decide, let's prove the Quran wrong. At least for 3-4 years, we will be better than the Christians. Let's stop the war of Palestine. You know the Palestinians? The Jews were kicked out by Hitler. Hitler incinerated 6 million Jews. He kicked them out of Germany. The Arabs, the Palestinians, they do ahlan wa sahlan. Come with open arms. After a few years, they are kicked out of the home. Imagine someone gives a traveler his home to live, and the traveler kicks him out of his home, and he's shouting that he has taken my house, and you're calling them terrorists. So what they have to do is, let's get together and solve this problem. Whatever the problem is. Today, America is controlled by the Jews. Whether it be the banks, whether it be the money, whether it be the power. According to the American survey, no one can become a president of USA without walking the Star of David. So the Jews are a minority, less than 5% in America. But they're controlling the economy, they're controlling America. Fine? So if they're controlling America, let all of this, let's solve the problem of Palestine, let's solve the American problem. Not forever. Few years. 4-5 years only. And the problem is solved. So we aren't telling that the Muslims should fight with the Jews. In fact, the Quran says, even if your enemy wants peace, several places, even if they come to fight you, it's mentioned in Surah Anfal, in the battle, if they want peace, give it to them. So Quran is always for peace. Quran is always encouraging them. But if a person does not want peace to prevail, what can we do? Islam is a religion of peace. It wants peace, but it even mentions facts. That means we have to be careful of the Jews. Not that we have to fight them, unless they come and fight with you. That's a different thing. Imagine what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in other parts of the world. So brother, for peace to prevail, you have to follow the guidance of the Quran. and live harmoniously rather than be enemies. So Quran doesn't say that Jews should be enemies, but they will be same. Hope that answers the question.
Who has done so many atrocities on the Jews, and it is claimed that he has incinerated 6 million Jews. Condemned the biggest terrorist in human history, Adolf Hitler. That means I'm not against the Jews. It is what I said was the statement of the Quran. So this was in relation to the 4 objections that were taken by the Home Office in UK. And what we are doing at present is that we have taken legal advice. We have legal opinion from here, mashallah, and also in UK. And what we are doing is that though there is no right to appeal, as was mentioned in the exclusion order, we are going to seek for a judicial revision, what we call in our lingo writ petition. There is a judicial revision in the High Court very soon. We have hired a battery of lawyers, barristers, and they are shocked. When I showed them the reasons, they are shocked that it is the first time we are seeing such an exclusion order based on these 4 passages. They are shocked at the decision taken by the new government, and they are very hopeful that it will be very easy unless the politicians intervene. Otherwise, I have more faith in the judicial system than the politicians in most part of the world. Whether it be judicial system of India or the judicial system of UK, I have more faith in the judicial system rather than the politicians. And I'm hopeful that inshallah, God willing, this exclusion order, inshallah, would be reversed.
Now we would have Advocate Majid Memon speak to the press. Advocate Majid Memon.
Dr. Zakir Naik Sahab, my friend Mahesh Bhai, other friends on the dais, and all my media friends. This is a special occasion where, after knowing the situation, I was constrained to leave the court and join this press conference. We have been fighting, particularly myself and Mahesh Bhatt, as 2 arms of human rights activists here, against all oppressive acts and orders that are being slapped onto people who are fundamentally or inherently weaker. And we always believe that justice can be delivered or ends of justice can be met if certain like-minded people throw their weight on the weaker side of the hand of the scale so that the scale is even. Now, Zakir Naik's this order was seen by me this morning, and I am indeed sorry that I believe firmly even at this moment that United Kingdom is a civil society, a secular democracy, a new government in place, and it certainly upholds human dignity, human values, and adheres to the principles of equity, fairness, fair play, reasonableness, and principles of natural justice. If I am wrong, this order would be right. But I think I am right. I still believe that yes, United Kingdom is a civil society which respects human dignity and human rights. When I look at the fairness and principles of natural justice, if I am wrong, this order would be right. If I am wrong, this order would be right. But I think I am right. I still believe that yes, United Kingdom is a civil society which respects human dignity and human rights. When I look at this order, my friends, Mr. Naik has just now explained that how, with ill motivation, probably malice or vested interest, his quotes have been picked up from out of context, and he is labeled as a person probably dangerous to the civil society in UK. And that is how this sudden order has been handed down to him on the 17th of this month. Let me explain to you as a lawyer first, because when I see this order, I can't digest that a whole Department of Home in United Kingdom was unwise or rather rash in passing such an order. There are a number of fallacies in this order which I can enumerate in a matter of 3 minutes from here now. First, as Dr. Naik said, that the extracts that are relied upon to take this rigid decision, this harsh decision, are picked up out of context. A. B. You will be shocked to see this reality that this order has been passed on the 16th of June, handed down on 17th of June, forbidding him to travel on the 18th of June. Now this shows that there was great hurry. I can understand that if this order had said that Dr. Naik, there is no time, and belatedly though we have been informed about your nefarious or dangerous activities, therefore we ask you stop, don't travel on 18th. I can understand that to some extent. But revoking his visa of 5 years, banning him, labeling him as a dangerous person, who would be, as they call it in their own phrase, revoking his visa of 5 years on the grounds that your exclusion from the UK would be conducive to the public good. Now this blanket order revoking his visa is from no angle justified. I will just explain to you why. All the extracts which we see, as Zakir Saab said, that one of 1998, another of 2002, and two others of 2006. The last alleged attribution is of 2006. And you will be shocked, most of you may not know, that Zakir Naik was issued visa in July 2008. In July 2008, 15th of July precisely, 2008, your Home Department, your government, your machinery holds him to be entitled to a 5-year visit visa which is valid till 15 July 2013. How is it that your department did not consider any of these attributions or these dangerous allegations against him whilst processing his visa in July 2008? On this ground itself, this order would be vitiated. This is one submission. I would also point out that look at the way the order has been passed and handed down. It is an ex parte order. It is a unilateral order. It's an order which has not given to the affected person even an opportunity to show cause. This is barbaric. This is inhuman. This is against the least principles of human dignity and human value and principles of natural justice. Why did you not ask him, Mr. Zakir Naik, look here, the time is less, please don't travel on 18th. If possible, satisfy us before your schedule on the 18th or your speeches, programs, etc. a little later, so that we will consider in all fairness with an open mind as to whether you are in fact a dangerous person to UK society or not, and give our verdict. Instead, they simply revoke his visa, which was granted to him otherwise till 15 July 2013, which is definitely a very harsh and unreasonable order. Friends, now there is non-application of mind in passing this order because, as I said, that this order is passed in June 2010, visa was granted in July 2008, the utterances were made much before that, and therefore how do you justify your stand of 15 July 2008 vis-a-vis 16th June 2010? In a court of law, you will have no case. Number two, as I said, that you did not give him the opportunity to explain. Nowadays, you see, the communication has become so easy that in a matter of a couple of hours, an explanation could have been sought, an explanation could have been received, an explanation could have been examined in all fairness, and thereafter a just decision could have been taken. Now this is a decision which is per face so harsh, so unreasonable, so much without application of principles of natural justice and equity, that you have not only deprived him of his visit, which is his prerogative, you have not only used your discretion in a malified way, but you have also tried to bring disrepute to a scholar without any just reasonable grounds or facts. Now, as I said, that, you see, if a man goes, suppose, assume hypothetically, that Zakir Naik had approached the UK Council office are asking them that I have to go on the 18th for a program, then they may examine what are you going for, whether what you are going for is fair or unfair. And then refusing visa is one thing. But revoking an existing visa is too much. Please try to understand the two situations. The man was already having a valid visa, which was issued to him in July 2008, much after all the satanic allegations, as you want to say, which you can't explain, as Mr. Nayak rightly said. And then the irony of this harsh order and it being so barbaric and totally betraying the least principles of a civil society is that it is not appealable. To err is human. Let this Secretary of State keep her mind open, and let the department keep its mind open, and gracefully consider that if we have erred, we are subject to correction. You have erred on facts, you have erred on law, you have erred on your principles, and you have erred on practically all fronts. And yet if you insist that no, our orders are divine orders, they cannot be looked into by any other human being or any other organization or authority, I'm afraid this is a terrorism, an act of terrorism. I would say this is terror. I'm sure Zakir will approach whichever forum, the appellate authority, be it a court, be it a diplomatic authority, either through the Indian embassy, our External Affairs Ministry, and if we can argue here, even before S.M. Krishna, our External Affairs Minister, and point out that kindly see here, we don't want to cross sword with United Kingdom for various reasons. We have got good relations with that country. We keep cordial relations with them. This should not serve as a pill of bitterness between the two countries. Our relations are not going to be affected. It's a matter of principle. It's a question of human dignity. We are just telling Zakir Naik's this rash order whether it can stand the scrutiny of a rational mind. And the points which I have argued, I think even before a small judge with little sense of justice would hear these points, we will not take a minute to set aside this order. And I'm sure that Zakir would succeed. We don't have to say anything. Well, we would still say that it's your innocent error. Please rectify it. Please correct it so that we don't have any damage to our perception that UK society is a civil society committed to the principles of natural justice, equity and fair play. Thank you very much.
May I request Mr. Mahesh Bhatt to move in the center. Mr. Mahesh Bhatt is a noted activist for so many years on any human rights violation and such cases. And when the whole society is on one side, he feels that someone is being unjust with him, even if that person is alone, he is standing out for justice. Mr. Mahesh Bhatt.
Well, at the onset, let me salute Dr. Zakir Naik for daring to lock horns with the mighty empire, the British Empire. And I'm glad that we have an Indian who's not timid and who's not going to take these insults that they're hurling at us day in and day out lying down. So I salute his audacity, which comes from his iman, from his the truth which is there in every pore of his being. It is that that makes him stand up and say things to the bully the way it is. If he had any grey spot in his heart, he wouldn't have risked locking horns with these bullies who have the means and the power to lock you in and throw away the keys. Human history has been a witness to unspeakable deeds of barbarism that have been unleashed by the Western nations against the world. Ladies and gentlemen, these are dangerous times. The world is becoming the most entertained and the least informed world. I thought the United States was the most entertained and the least informed. But slowly and surely, the world is catching up and India is not far behind. I think we as Indians owe it to our brother, who is our national pride, who is our prized treasure, that we ask those who accuse him to look at the facts sanely, And as Majid Bhai says, to err is human. Maybe an individual there has erred. We do not want to put the entire nation into the dock for the misdeeds of a handful of people. We cannot reduce human beings to stereotypes. We cannot reduce a nation or a community to a single story. Because when we do that, we do the same mistake what they have done. They call Dr. Naik a warmonger. Well, history knows who is the warmonger. Western nations, the United States, backed with the United Kingdom, did not give a tinker's damn for the world opinion and bombarded Iraq when the UN was screaming that you don't have evidence that there are weapons of mass destruction. What happened thereafter? You killed people, shed blood, and what did you find there? No evidence to say that there was any weapons of mass destruction. So are you going to believe in the opinions of those people who have the means to lie, buy wordsmiths, get newspapers, have television networks on their side to market their lies and hang a man like Dr. Naik? I would say no. It is the same United States of America when it bombarded Afghanistan. They bombed Al Jazeera. Behind every such person who doesn't take the opinion which are dished out by governments to suit their politics. The first law of journalism, sir, is governments lie. And as responsible journalists, it's your duty to not become victims of state propaganda. The world has suffered enormously for the last 10 years because all responsible journalists, including you, lapped up what was dished out to you by them. If you do not have the means to question it, say, I don't know. It is more decorous for a man to say, I don't know. A person who knows that he does not know can be taught. There is humility. But a person who does not know and pretends that he knows can do enormous harm. So I think as responsible people of the media, it is your duty to your fellow human being, to your fellow Indian, who stands here with dignity, that he gets a fair deal. And it's not fitting for the nation and a government who stands up for a celebrity like Shah Rukh Khan when he has come into trouble in the United States. They must also stand up for Dr. Zakir Naik and plead his case. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your very comprehensive and apt comments on the legal side as well as the humanitarian side of the issue. We now throw the floor open for the many journalists here, I see many senior faces, to put forward their question. May I request you to kindly make the question brief and to the point and restrict it to the issue because of the limited time available. And to whom the question is, if it's to Dr. Zakir Naik, Advocate Majid Memon, or Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, kindly specify and kindly state your name and which media organization you represent so they can give you a more appropriate response.
Yasir Fazaga.
To do good is good, but why you do good is as important as the good that you are doing.
Purify your thoughts.
To have a proper relationship with God is very important.
Increase your knowledge.
But the motive why we want to have a proper relationship with God is also very, very important.
Distilled Wisdom every Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Saudi Arabia and 11:30 p.m. UAE on Peace TV.
Muhammad Wajihuddin from the Times of India.
Okay, you
Welcome.
You have already identified me, so I don't need to this time. Okay, Dr. Zakir Naik, you very beautifully clarified the context in which you said, you talked about the Muslims being terrorists. Now, you were talking about a police officer who was a terror to those anti-social elements. Now, do you think that now you could have rephrased those terms, because this is not the first time. It has been on the blog, it has been on the internet, it has been on the television, in various articles. Now, the second question is, do you think that by banning your entry to the United Kingdom, as the Indian Express editorial pointed out yesterday, perhaps they have given you a big megaphone to tell the world that, oh, here I am and I have been victimized? Thank you very much.
What is the second part of the question?
About your ban on the UK visa, revoking your visa. So perhaps they have given you a big platform to tell the world, that, use the media and tell the world, like this press conference, which will go to the world. Then now I am being victimized. Another Muslim is being victimized, okay?
Brother Wajuddin asked two questions. The first one, that seeing the context, should I say in the context of a policeman that he is a terrorist to the criminal, should I use it for the Muslims? Using it only by itself is wrong. Therefore, though I've used it many times, I always go ahead to say that I'm aware that a terrorist more commonly is used for a person who terrorizes an innocent human being. In this context, no Muslim should ever be a terrorist. If I say along with it, no problem. But if I only use this without mentioning that terrorist is more commonly used for a person who terrorizes an innocent human being, it is wrong. So therefore, whenever I mention this, I say it in context. And as far as the second question is concerned, that do I agree with the news of the Indian Express that the UK government has given me a megaphone to say that any Muslim is banned? I believe more in the verse of the Quran, of Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse number 54, which says, Makaru makarallah wallahu khairul makirin. They planned and plotted, Allah too planned. Allah is the best of planners. It is not they who have given me a megaphone. It is they plan to ban me, and I have faith in my Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will see to it that the more they try to suppress my voice, inshallah, more louder it will be. And having people like Mr. Mahesh Bhatt and
in addition to that, sorry.
My views I'm giving. You may agree with my view, you may disagree with my view. If you don't agree with my view, so you're asking my view. So in that way, what they have done, they have made one of the biggest mistakes. And what Advocate Majid Memon said, that any lawyer, even a layman, if he reads this, he knows that it will not stand any chances. And whatever he said, he just read in the morning, saying we have been advised that we are looking for the time when we have the case challenged in the UK High Court. We are looking forward for it. We are looking forward for it.
Okay, and now, now why don't you leave it to Allah only? And, instead of fighting for your entry to United Kingdom, because United Kingdom, as far as I know, that is not a place that every Muslim must visit. It's not like Mecca or Medina that you have to visit at least once in a lifetime. Another thing is that this is the prerogative of a country.
Looking for the time when we have the case challenged in the UK High Court. We are looking forward for it. We are looking forward for it.
Okay, and now, now why don't you leave it to Allah only? And, instead of fighting for your entry to United Kingdom, because United Kingdom, as far as I know, that is not a place that every Muslim must visit. It's not like Mecca or Medina that you have to visit at least once in a lifetime. Another thing is that this is the prerogative of a country to allow a person or not to allow him. So why you are challenging that? Why don't you just sit and say, okay, we'll just wait?
Again, there are two questions asked by Brother Muhammad Wajuddin. First question, why don't you leave it to Allah alone? Why do you want to enter? Our beloved Prophet Muhammad said, when a person asked him, I have a camel, should I trust in Allah and leave my camel, or should I tie my camel and trust in Allah? So the Prophet replied, tie your camel and trust in Allah. So I'm following the commandments of my Prophet. Trust in Allah, but tie a camel. That doesn't mean that if I'm sick, I'll say I believe in Allah, I won't go to a doctor. Because Quran says, Fas'alu ahli zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 43. If you don't know, ask the person who's an expert. So in the law is expert. So not that if UK bans me, that I will not be able to speak. But coming to your second question, that they have a prerogative to allow me or not to allow me, I agree with you. They have a right to allow or disallow any human being who's a non-UK to enter. But giving me permission in 2008, I've been going since the past 15 years. I've given several lectures in most of the major cities of UK, in London, in Birmingham, in Bradford, in Cardiff, in Glasgow, in Manchester, and tens of thousands of people attending. Even after giving me a valid visa, last visa that they gave me was 2008, valid for 5 years, it yet has 3 years validity. To exclude that it is against the human rights. And I have a right to enter, and that also maligning me. One is preventing me from entering one thing. That's one thing which is not that much of a problem for me. Without going to UK, I can go in many other ways, I can have my voice reader. But maligning me, saying that I am a person who's a hate monger, I am a person who promotes terrorism, that is a bigger issue for me than entering UK. And hopefully we'll reverse both. And it is the right of the citizens of UK to hear me. It is the right of the citizens of UK in tens of thousands want to hear me. Why are you depriving them of hearing me live? When they've had one of the best arenas or biggest arenas they've had in UK and they want to hear me, it is their right that they have to hear me. That's the reason I feel that the order will be removed.
Any other question? We'll give chance only 1 or 2 questions to every newspaper, otherwise the limits given to me for time will not be able to be managed. Yes, sister.
Couple of things. One, between 2000...
Can we have your name and the newspaper you represent?
Yeah, I'm Arifa from the Hindustan Times. Between 2008 and till now, how many times have you visited the UK? And also, the YouTube video was attributed to 2006, but you're saying it was in 1998 before 9/11. But in 1998, you were aware and you were talking about Osama bin Laden and his activities. I mean, I don't know how many people were aware of Osama bin Laden's activities in 1998.
Since I got the visa 2008, and how many times I have traveled? I have traveled twice. Once in 2008 and once in 2009. And a couple of days back, I was supposed to travel the third time. As far as the second question is concerned, was I aware about what I'm aware now? The name had just appeared. And as a general, if you hear, a Muslim should not malign anyone without, because the Quran says in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 6, whenever you get information, check it up before passing on third person. So when a Muslim condemned me, I said, you cannot condemn anyone without proof. That's the reason I said, I don't know him. I don't know whether he's responsible. I don't say he's good or whether he's bad. But naturally, I did not know him. Now, also I don't know him. But the media has given me information, which again, whether right or wrong is to be discussed later on. But I do agree with you that it was 1998. So you cannot attribute this statement of mine to the 9/11, which took place 3 years back.
All the extracts are pre-July 2008. You must note that.
Yes.
The next question from the sister. Yes.
My name is Kavita. I'm with the Indian Express. My question is to Dr. Naik. There was a group of Muslims who went to the Deputy High Commission yesterday. They were led by the Raza Academy, and they supported the decision to exclude you. What would you say to that?
Every person who is popular, who is famous, has some people against him. And the best example of beloved Prophet Muhammad, not only according to Muslims, even according to non-Muslim Michael H. Hart, Prophet Muhammad is the most influential human being in history according to Michael H. Hart. He wrote a book on 100 most influential people in the world, and number 1 he rated Prophet Muhammad. But today, the maximum books written against any human being in the world, it is Prophet Muhammad. So similarly, because of my popularity, everyone may not agree with my view. So there are people who may disagree, and they have a right to disagree. I'm not saying everyone should agree with my view.
Yes, brother.
Akshay Deshmani from DNA. Hi. I've been reading the British press now, so I don't know how much of this information that I'm putting through is true, but then based on that, I think it was the Times which reported this, Times London or some such paper. The newspaper report argued was that your views on controversial personalities like Salman Rushdie and the author of Lajja being Taslima Nasreen. Now, your views on them have been, quite unpopular in the sense that you have supported the bans on them. Now, this is what the article argued. Now, if this is true, how would you respond to that? And now you are arguing for your own rights to freedom of speech.
This I want to discuss in detail in my third lecture in UK, that's in Birmingham, Freedom of Expression and Islamic Perspective. As I gave a reply to Brother Muhammad Wajuddin when he said that UK government has a right to prevent me from coming, but they have no right to malign me. Right? So that is freedom of expression, but not freedom of maligning anyone. The same way, when someone maligns anyone without proof, that's the reason if someone maligns, he should be put straight. So if the UK government is maligning me, we'll fight it in the court. Again, the word fight, what fight? We'll challenge it, the right word. Someone says, I'm going to fight UK, so there'll be another man that Zakir wants to fight UK. I want to challenge the UK government. You have to be in choice of words. Find challenge in the court. So similarly, if someone says malign someone without proof, etc., and criticizes, the Quran And Islam says in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 11 and 12, it is prohibited. So in that context, I said I agree when someone maligns or criticizes or speaks bad about someone without proof, etc., then he should be stopped. In that context, I said I agree when someone maligns or criticizes or speaks bad about someone without proof, etc., then he should be stopped.
Maybe allow questions to the other media, you know. We have a lot of English media asking questions. Anyone else? You have got a question? Can you speak in the mic so we can hear clearly? आपका इंट्रोडक्शन, आपका नाम और कौन से?
वसीम सहारा टीवी से। हम आपसे बस इतना ही जानना चाहेंगे कि पूरा मसला क्या था, थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बताएं। और दूसरी बात ये आपसे जानना चाहेंगे कि आप ऑलरेडी पहले भी जा चुके हैं, तो क्यों आप पे खास करके बैन लगाया गया है? इसे थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बताइएगा।
बाइट ले रहा है। मेरी हिंदी और उर्दू इतनी फंसी नहीं है, लेकिन मैं जवाब दूंगा। भाई साहब ने सवाल पूछा कि ये सब मसला क्या था और क्यों हुआ। मैं यूके इंग्लैंड में जाने वाला था और मेरा प्रोग्राम तय हुआ था 3 प्रोग्राम बड़े एरिना में, 25, 26 और 27 जून को। शेफील्ड एरिना शेफील्ड के अंदर, वेम्बली एरिना लंदन में और बर्मिंघम एलजी एरिना एनईसी में। ये 3 प्रोग्राम तय हो चुके थे और काफी पब्लिसिटी हो चुकी थी। उस वक्त तकरीबन 1 महीने पहले 30 मई एक यूके न्यूज़पेपर है जिसका नाम है टाइम्स, जो संडे को संडे टाइम्स में एक जर्नलिस्ट डेविड लेपार्ड, उन्होंने एक आर्टिकल लिखा क्या एक हेट मॉन्गर को ब्रिटेन में आने की इजाजत दी गई है। एक आदमी जो दहशत और जो नफरत फैलाता है उसे ब्रिटेन में आने की इजाजत दी गई है, और वो अटैक था गवर्नमेंट की तरफ। क्या नई गवर्नमेंट जो कहती है कि गलत लोग को एंट्री नहीं देंगे, डॉक्टर जाकिर नाइक को कैसे दे रही है। और मेरे बहुत से तकरीर के कुछ सेंटेंसेस को तोड़ मोड़ के पेश किया गया है मीडिया में। मिसाल के तौर पे कहा गया है कि जाकिर कहता है कि हर मुसलमान दहशतगर्द होना चाहिए, जो आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट है। और मैंने कॉन्टेक्स्ट दिया कि मैंने कहा दहशतगर्द उसे कहते हैं जो एक इंसान के दिल में दहशत पैदा करता है। मिसाल के तौर पे जब एक चोर पुलिस को देखता है तो चोर के दिल में दहशत पैदा होती है, तो उस चोर के लिए वो पुलिसमैन दहशतगर्द है। उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हर मुसलमान जब भी कोई चोर या कोई गैर कानूनी काम करने वाला इंसान कोई मुसलमान को देखता है तो उसके दिल में दहशत पैदा होना चाहिए। इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हर मुसलमान दहशतगर्द होना चाहिए। लेकिन मैंने ये भी कहा कि आम तौर पे दहशतगर्द उसे कहते हैं जो एक मासूम इंसान के दिल में दहशत पैदा करता है। और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कोई भी मुसलमान एक भी मासूम इंसान के दिल में दहशत नहीं पैदा करना चाहिए। तो ये आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट कोट करके मुझे बदनाम किया जा रहा था, और ये गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर प्रेशर था कि अभी लेक्चर होने वाला है और वो जानते थे कि मैं 18 जून को निकलने वाला हूं। तो इट इज मोर ऑफ अ पॉलिटिकल डिसीजन, ये एक सियासी डिसीजन है, इट इज नॉट लीगल डिसीजन। जिस तरीके से एडवोकेट मजीद मेमन साहब ने कहा कि ये लीगल डिसीजन नहीं था, सियासी डिसीजन था। उन पे दबाव था कि अभी नई गवर्नमेंट 1.5 महीने में आई, तो इट्स अ पॉलिटिकल डिसीजन विच इंशाल्लाह दे विल रिपेंट, जो वो इस डिसीजन के लिए पछताएंगे। और हम इंशाल्लाह इसे चैलेंज करने वाले हाई कोर्ट यूके के अंदर। और हमें उम्मीद है कि जो जुडिशरी सिस्टम है, जो जुडिशरी सिस्टम यूके की है, हमें उन पे और भरोसा है बनिस्बत सियासी सिस्टम पे, और हम इसे चैलेंज करेंगे। और उम्मीद है कि इस एक्सक्लूजन ऑर्डर को जो मुझे आने से रोका गया है उसे रिवर्स करेंगे, इंशाल्लाह उसे पलटाएंगे।